when I chose Nadia's background, I was pulling a lot from my own experience, working in marketing and brand marketing, advertising. It's a very specific world. If you know anyone who has worked in advertising, it's very fast paced. It can be a little bit cutthroat. It's very like corporate in blue jeans. Like there's a part in the book where I talk about it's like the perfect environment for vegan narcissists to like exercise their dominion. And that really is like kind of the vibe. It's like we're not like other companies and it breeds like a lot of inauthenticity and rat race, you chasing something more sinister than just money. So I wanted Naughty to have this like girl boss 2010s background, like very millennial. She was sold a dream about having a cool job and she ran herself into the ground chasing something that doesn't exist, which I feel like is like very relatable for women my age and also I don't know, something I like personally have a lot of like gripes about, which is a theme in my writing. It's like I have a personal bone to pick with this concept. And then Marco, I wanted it was a little bit like form and function of I need someone who had money. I needed him to like have money. So there was a reason why he wasn't working. I needed him also to not have much going on, but like have a little something going on. He needed to be able to have these side projects because he's sort of an entrepreneur and like pursues a lot of entrepreneurial things. And I personally am the type of person who will never write like a CEO or like a CIO or a CTO. It goes back to my girl boss thing. Like I just really, it's hard for me to romanticize. Exactly. It's hard for me to romanticize someone who has so much power, so much wealth, and it's gained like in a very kind of like, I don't know, it's just so yucky versus like making him a child star and maybe grappling with what it means to have supported his mother. And it just gave it more texture than someone who, you know, it's like, I need you to have money and I need you to have a lot of free time, but I don't want you to be the worst person on earth. Like, what are my options? And it does narrow things down pretty quickly. Like, romance is all about romanticizing the everyday. And it's so easy to like accidentally romanticize something that we should be hypercritical of now more than ever. There is an element of romance that, of course, is fantasy. And I think fantasy is a really powerful storytelling tool because it allows people to escape from their everyday. And in that, as authors, we have the opportunity to sort of Trojan horse our beliefs into the story and we have opportunity to have people be fragile and vulnerable and to change their minds about certain things. Amy Poehler has a great podcast called Good Hang that I really love, and I think she's doing a great job. And she had Tina Fey on the first episode, and Tina Fey is a Philly girl. She's from Delco, so I feel very spiritually connected to her and her sense of humor and everything. But and she says to Amy, she says, "You will." They're talking about how they used to have to go to the Harvard Lampoon and sort of like entertain the Lampoon guys, and it was always like the worst thing ever. They hated it. They would bully these Lampoon nerds, and Tina says to Amy, well, you and I have that blue collar rage thing, and Amy's like, oh yeah. And I was like, that's it. That's what I have. I have that blue collar rage thing. Like a Tina Fey, like an Amy Poehler, like a Bruce Springsteen, where it's like, I don't know. I think the environment I grew up in, and my mom is like a real like stick it to the man kind of lady, and it just was like I really like bristle at like authority. Um, yeah, I don't know. It would be an interesting challenge for me to write like a CEO character. I don't know how I would do it. It would be a very like interesting brain exercise. I think part of it in like a very technical boots on the ground way, genre expectations help balance how dark I would like to go. Like me on my own, left to my own devices, my humor is very self-deprecating, a lot of dark jokes, darker themes, and then I and put in the sandbox of romance where it's like, okay, we can go dark, but not too dark that it's like we can't come back from it. Or we can have characters who are self-deprecating, but we want to avoid insulting the group as a whole. I had a lot of jokes in like an early draft about the way Nadia looks, and Nadia looks like me. She's the short, curvy Italian American girl. The jokes I'm writing for her are things I say about myself, but the person reading it might not know that. And it is such an important reminder that it's like, it's a really do no harm approach. I never want anyone to feel shame or uncomfortable or out of place reading my books. So it is like, I think in a technical way, oh, just staying vigilant while you're editing about how you want people to feel in the moment versus just how the character's feeling. Um, and there's I think there's a little bit of tension between that, like, the character is maybe anxious, scared, sad, dealing with all their stuff, and then the reader should just be excited about what comes next and, like, finding that space. Coloring in those details is so fun. It is so fun. Particularly for Marco, there were some things where I wanted to really kind of emphasize that he's a person who has money, but he's like not doing well. And that was really fun. I had one of the details was I kind of decided that he drove a really old Cadillac. Like he bought a Cadillac when he was a teenager and he still drove it. Because that feels like something a teenager would do if they got a lot of money, especially if they were sort of someone who fancied themselves like, I'm an old soul, I'm gonna buy a Cadillac. And then he's kept it for years. Another observation that I had just felt so, it was something my husband actually noticed about Anthony Bourdain while we were watching Parts Unknown one time. He was like, Anthony Bourdain's shirts always have the package lines on them. He takes his shirts out of the package and puts them directly on. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's like such like a keen observation. And so I stole it from Marco. It's not in notices that all that his t-shirts are like really, really white. They're so pristine. And she also notices the packaging lines on them. So he's just taking them out and putting them on, probably because he doesn't do laundry or he's too depressed to, I don't know, pull out his iron and plug it in. So that stuff can be really fun. I think sometimes it is a balance. There's a lot of jokes about romance where it's like the woman's wearing like the weirdest outfit, you know, she's wearing like a peasant blouse and a khaki skirt and these things don't age well. And but I think that stuff's really fun. I like when books are sort of a time capsule of what was popular in the moment. So yeah, it can be really fun. Also, because I do think about class a lot, there's like a lot of small like class indicators that are fun to pull in and you know, tap into the things that we all notice culturally, but maybe don't have any serious venue other than like TikTok or whatever to talk about. I love having confines. I love having a timeline for my characters, knowing that the tension and the conflict is also rooted in the amount of time they have together. Like there's the hourglass sort of looming over them. And this was also very explicitly a retelling, explicitly kinda it's a retelling of Sweet November, which they agree in that movie only for the month of November. I had them agree only for May. And and it was just it feels like a perfect little vessel. um and then to know why it's 32 days, you have to read the book and find out.